Hey everyone, Alan back again for another of my series of spinner reviews. And today I have another spinner that might be considered a grail spinner. This is a bar spinner which I have just recently taken a new liking to. And this one might look familiar to some of you. This is the Binary Fusion by Grave Raven. This is one of those spinners that's very, very tough to get. Quite pricey, but very, very nice. This is I don't know what you would consider a grail spinner, so to speak, but this is one beauty of a spinner for sure, no doubt about it. It's got a very nice I don't even know the bearing number. It's not an R188. It's a little bit smaller. It's a 5x11x4, and I haven't found a code number like R188, 608, 688 or anything like that for it. So but this one here is in Zirconium, and I have just recently picked up these new buttons for it right here. So it is a beauty, no doubt about it. This is definitely a sweet spinner. It is a bar spinner. I've always been a try guy, but this one is worth making the exception. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's take this thing down to the tabletop. We'll pop it open, take a look at it, kind of go over it. I'll give you the ins and outs and give you my thoughts. Let's go ahead and head down there right now. All right, up close and personal time now with the Grave Raven Binary Fusion. Nice spinner. Just recently got it. Been messing around with it here for a few days now. And I'll go over the packaging here real quick. You get a nice box, cardboard box, has a nice magnetic latch on it. It's got some blue foil embossing on the front with the Grave Raven logo. Blue, the rest of the box is blue, the front and these two sides. Very nicely done. It's something very, very simple, but something they put a lot of thought into when they designed it, which is very, very nice. You can see the box has got that kind of the velour lining. There's a plastic bag in there, which is what the spinner came in. I just left it like that just for the purpose of this review. You also get this piece of paper here from Grave Raven, the Binary Fusion. This is kind of a certificate of authenticity. Comes with a serial number and the material that the spinner is, which in my case is a zirconium spinner. So let's go ahead and take this baby out, take her for a little test drive. As you can see, I'm going to set that aside. It is absolutely stunning, beautiful, comes in numerous different materials, which you can find out there at the website, which of course I will leave a link. And these buttons here are buttons that I just recently picked up. These are the brass flats and steps. As you can see, it's got the concentric circle steps down to the center. Maybe a little over 1/4 of an inch flat spot in the center. And let me tell you, these things are very, very comfortable. This is a super fidgetable bar spinner. Not a ton of the bar judder that you would normally get with a bar spinner. It is at a minimum with this spinner, so it makes it that much more enjoyable. You see the has very nice chamfering around the edges, making it very, very comfortable just to hold. Running your hands over it, there's no hot spots, nothing that's going to grab you. So in that respect, it is absolutely perfect in my eyes. Just a whole lot of fun to spin. I've found myself using this a lot more here in the last few days since I got it. Taking it to work with me a couple times just so I can have it with me and keep it in my pocket. Very pocketable, very smooth and quiet. It has its own dedicated size bearing. I believe it's a 5x11x4 is the size on it. It doesn't have like a numerical size like a 688 or 608 or R188. It is listed as a 5x11x4 bearing. If somebody out there happens to know how that bearing is classified as far as like a number or whatever, I would definitely like to hear about it. So that would be awesome if you can kind of drop me that scoop. I'd appreciate that. Just leave it down in the description for me. That would be awesome. Let's see what we got for a spin diameter. Let's go ahead and throw it on the thing here. You see we're just a touch below 2 inches. So it's not super huge. It's actually perfect size for anybody, if whether you have big hands or small hands. It is an absolute great fidget for sure. Height wise, let's see if we can kind of get at least close. I'm guessing, yeah, a touch over a half an inch, maybe 9/16 or so, something like that. So not going to be a whole lot of finger fatigue associated with this one, just because it, well, number one, it is pretty light. So, but we'll get to the weight on that in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and pop these buttons off, let you take a peek at them. Like I said, these are the buttons that I purchased separately. I didn't like the bowl buttons that came with it, and I wanted brass, which gives it a nice contrast, of course. As you see, they're nicely machined. Has a stud installed on the inside here that you can use an Allen key to tighten, or if you need to take it out or whatever, you can do that. So it's not just one solid piece. It is a nice threaded stud that's put in there, so that's kind of cool. Very nice buttons. Let's take a look at that bearing I was talking about. As you can see, it is a shielded bearing. It is pretty quiet. Maybe not one drop smooth and quiet, but it is pretty close. And I've heard of a couple people that have actually went out and bought secondary market bearings for this thing and had really good success with it. So that is obviously something you can do as well. If you would like to do that, you certainly can. Like I said, the size on those are 5 by 11 by 4, and they should pop right out. Very nice and easy for you. Piece of cake. What I want to do now is I want to take this thing, I want to drop it on the scale so we can get a weight on it. Like I said, this is the zirconium, so you're gonna have different weights, obviously, for your different materials. This one is a little lighter than it's lighter than stainless steel, but it's heavier than titanium. So that'll kind of give you an idea. Let's go ahead and let this thing reset. And there we are, 0. So let's see what we got in grams on this thing. So 43.5 grams, which really is weighty enough considering the size of this thing. Like I said, it's not super humongous. So having the 43 grams, I think, is a pretty good weight for this. Although, like I said, 50 to 75 is really kind of the ideal weight for me. But that being said, this is a little bit smaller spinner, so it doesn't feel like you're holding nothing. There is a little bit, it does feel fairly substantial in your hand, just because of the fact that it's so small, but it still weighs in at 43 grams. Just a beautiful spin. This thing is absolutely awesome. Let's check the balance on it. See, balance feels pretty good, pretty straight. Try it both ways. Let's try it this way too. A little bit. Not too bad. So it is very nicely weighted and balanced. As you can see, I'll go ahead and leave it sit on my finger for a second. There we go. So that is pretty much perfect. So here's what I think we'll do. Let's go ahead and take this thing out. Let's go ahead and get a quick warp video on it to include with the review, and when we return, I will give you my final thoughts and assessments on the Grave Raven binary fusion. All right, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that portion of the video. Final thoughts on the binary fusion from Grave Raven. Beautiful presentation, just a piece of art. This is definitely falls into the category of a collectible piece for sure. Quite tough to get a hold of. Usually a long wait list to get on to get one of these. I personally, I got mine from the secondary market, which is what you have to do quite a bit with these things. They are that tough to come by. But yeah, if you are into collecting spinners as a collector, as a serious enthusiast, this is definitely one that you should probably add to your list for sure. It is a bar spinner, so you're, like I said, you're going to get a little bit of that judder. But all in all that being said, for what this is, it is definitely a staple in any great spinner collection. So I definitely recommend you picking one up if you have the means to do it. And if you can find a good deal on one out there, all the more power to you. Definitely do that for sure. So I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. I will go ahead and leave a link to the Grave Raven site, so you can go there and check it out, and also to the Daily Fidget, where I like to hang out quite a bit. And a lot of times on the marketplace you can find one of these out there, which is where I found this one. So I will go ahead and leave those links for you as well as a subscription link in the corner here, and a couple other videos for you to take a peek at. So once again, thanks for hanging out with me today. Always a good time, always a lot of fun. And do me a favor, keep calm, spin on. See ya.